Hey everybody, this is Jynnette The Oracle, and welcome to Oracle Talks. Happy new moon in Gemini if you are watching here today. And yeah, just also happy almost summertime because it's almost summer here in the Northern Hemisphere and we love to see it. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Jynnette The Oracle. I am founder and CEO of Inner Sun Alchemy. I provide spiritual life coaching and business strategy for light workers as well as service providers and those who, in general, are looking to create culture change through a change in consciousness. If you're returning, welcome back. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here with me over the many years. And as I had mentioned a few weeks ago, June is the 10-year anniversary for Inner Sun Alchemy. So thank you so much for being here and supporting. Of course, if you're new, please do subscribe to the channel. And for everybody, please do like the video, comment, share, all the things, right? If you want to learn more about me and my work, you can find the information at the website that is scrolling at the bottom there or in the description below. Please do sign up for my newsletter. I provide monthly reports providing both spiritual, personal, and business insights and suggestions to help you leverage spiritual technology, astrology, metaphysics, as well as best practices to help you live your best life possible and to create the greatest impact on the community and the world around you. And I would love to have you as part of the family. So definitely come through and enjoy. So for today, as you can see by the title, we are going to be discussing Venus in Leo. Now, this is a really, really special transit, not just because, it's Venus in the sign of Leo. I know the Leo signs are going to love this, but for me as a oracle, I'm going to be looking at things from a broader perspective and giving you insights on things that more likely than not you're going to get from others who may be talking about popular things in astrology. So first and foremost, this Venus in Leo transit is part of a longer transit that Venus has been a part of that began in Aries. That transit began spring of 2025, and it will be ending this October when it will start a new transit in Scorpio. Okay, so we're going from an Aries cycle to a Scorpio cycle. Okay. Now, for those who don't know, Venus takes Venus and Mars, but we're talking about Venus. Venus takes approximately 2 years, give or take, to go through an individual sign. For all of the planets, there's not an exact amount of time that they go through because they don't move in perfect circles. So sometimes the transit will be a little longer, some will be shorter, but approximately it's going to be about 2 years. So again, that this cycle that we're in currently is a Venus in Aries cycle. So it's very much been about the self, very much looking at who am I, what am I bringing to the table, what actually is here, what is my power, where are my gifts, am I showing up authentically, what are my instincts and my intuition telling me. All of those things, right, has been very much the case with Venus's transit through, the sign of Aries. Now, as I say the cycle of Venus and Aries, it doesn't mean that Venus has only been in the sign of Aries. Obviously, that's not the case. But the cycle always begins with the conjunction of Venus with the Sun during its retrograde period. Okay. I don't want to get too technical about the aspects of the transits. I do, when it comes to Venus and Mars, I do that in the yearly astrology events that I hold. So I'll be sharing information about that relatively soon because I'm going to be announcing events for the remainder of the year. So I'll go more in depth for those, but just know that that's actually what begins a new cycle is that conjunction of Venus with the Sun during its retrograde. Okay, so that imprints the energy over the 2-year cycle, even as Venus is going to be transiting through the additional signs that obviously it's going to be traveling through. So at this point in the game, we're pretty much very much at the end of this transit because the new cycle is going to be beginning um, in October, as I said, which will be in Scorpio. So this Leo transit in particular is hitting some very specific harmonics, both from the past as well as for the future. Past and future are relative, right? But we do have access to that once these certain geometries, these harmonics, these vibrational frequencies get tapped into. Again, I'll get into that more in the astrology year ahead stuff, but know that that piece is there. That piece is also there in the context of these next several months of minor grand trine transits with kite activations that are happening that I've written about and spoken about both in the Oracle Talks these last couple of weeks as well as in the June astrology report. So if you're not kind of caught up on that, or again, if you're new to me, to the channel, definitely go check out the blog page and read up on that info and check out the most recent Oracle Talks because I do touch on that. So coming to this phase in Leo, this is essentially the last segment. This transit of Venus through Leo is going to be the last initiating the last segment of the cycle. So it's one of the spokes on the wheel, if you will, of the cycle of this major turning point. For me, for ease of relaying these concepts to folks, I use the framework of the moon cycles to help kind of understand how the energy moves and how to best work with it. So at this stage in the cycle, this would be similar to the vibe or the energy around the third quarter square moon, or if we're going on a solar cycle, the autumn season. Okay, so it's that part of the cycle where you are both harvesting, meaning enjoying the return on investment that you've had over, the entire beginning part of the cycle, where of course you are celebrating that harvest because you have something to show for your work, where you are assessing the return. So you're seeing, what are the yields from the work? Like, yes, you're harvesting and yes, you're celebrating it, but you're also noticing what is being harvested based off of what has it been invested with your time and energy, your tactics, basically, however you've decided to go after your goals, whether that is related to your spiritual development, ancestral work, personal development things that you may be focused on, health and wellness, as well as business things, ways that you've been looking to improve certain aspects of your business. So all of that is there. That assessment piece is there. And it also is a clue, a foreshadowing of what's to come, as well as an announcement of the stage of stillness that is necessary before new activity can begin. Okay, so that's like 5 things. So it's this part of the cycle, regardless of which cycle we're talking about, whether it's lunar, the year, the solar cycles, or, planetary cycles, when we get to the third quarter or the last segment of the cycle, there is so much that is available to see, perceive, gain wisdom from, and make use of for your life, for whatever it is you're working on, and for the future. Okay. So, again, to review, it is a harvest, it is a celebration, it is an assessment, it is a foreshadowing, and it is a harbinger of a time of quiet and relatively less activity to restore and prepare for what's next. Okay, so all of that is here and present. Now, this energy is interesting for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere because this is coinciding, of course, with the summertime. Specifically, the dates for Venus's transit through Leo is going to be, or is June 13th through July 8th. Okay, so it's only about 3 weeks, right? Um, so that's a lot that can be happening during that time. Now, again, if you've been following me and are relatively new to me, you know that I've been saying, like, I put it with the important dates posts that I've had up. This is a great time to be doing review, to start thinking about strategy for, the rest of the year, et cetera. So I've already kind of been priming you for it. But this transit really makes that the focus, and highlights it more, gives you more energy and motivation to focus on it. So one of the things that you may find during this time is you really start thinking about your desires, your goals, what you want for yourself for the future. A lot of that may really be starting to come up right now, and this is why. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else about this that I want to speak to. Oh, so yeah, there. Spirit is like the harbinger part. So as I said, it's a harbinger for the time to come. So it is also a harbinger both of the time of quiet that is needed to help restore and gather, um, and just rest before the new cycle of activity begins. But also in this context, the new cycle that's going to be beginning is going to be the cycle in Scorpio. So one of the things that may be coming up for you, and it is showing up in the cards, and I'm going to be, I've already got cards out, so I'll be speaking about the spirit messages there. But one of the things that you may really be noticing, or that spirit is really asking you to pay attention to, is in the context of all of this creative energy. And make no mistake, it is very much going to be a boost of energy that is going to be increased over this period of time of Venus transiting through Leo to help you do these 5 things that I talked about, so that, again, you can get the most out of it. But the thing that is going to be key, that is not necessarily going to be talked about by most folks that you're going to see talking about this transit, is the fact that the scorpionic themes, the stuff that's in the shadows, the stuff that's there that you may or may not know that's there, that actually does need to be faced, in order to garner real power within the self, real sovereignty, real authenticity, um, is there to be seen and to be exposed, and it is going to be exposed, right? There are some underlying currents that, if you are doing this assessment work thoroughly, is going to reveal things to you about how you really feel, what's really there, where your fears are, and that level of radical honesty, radical authenticity. For some, it may be uncomfortable, but it is the gatekeeper for liberation into more. I'll say that again. This work, this kind of scorpionic work that is kind of in the shadows, but really is like, hey, this is what you're going to be stepping into next. It is the gatekeeper for the liberation that you seek. Okay, so that freedom, that empowerment, that unlocking the ability to have more impact for those that you serve, for accelerating your spiritual ascension process, for achieving your personal goals, whatever it is, this is the gatekeeper for that. This is the key that is there that unlocks that avenue for you. Okay. So that is, a broad kind of overview for how important this transit is. Um, Again, I know folks are going to be about, oh, Venus is love, and, all the kinds of things. And yes, all of that. But there's more. There's so much more, especially, again, when you look at things within the broader cycles that we are living in. There's so much more here. So we'll be discussing a little bit of that more in this time today. But before we get into that, I do want to say that enrollment is open for the summer cohorts of my group programs. I have two small group coaching programs. One is the Lightworker Incubator, which is specifically designed to accelerate and be a catalyst for your spiritual soul ascension process. It's going to help you raise your energetic vibration, help you open up and strengthen your clair abilities, help you to heal and elevate your ancestors, develop stronger relationships with your spirit team, and also activate new relationships with spirit team, and help to set you up for what is the next stage of your work in service, not only to your soul ascension process, but also with supporting culture change through consciousness change in the world. Okay. The other group program I have is called Sovereign, and that is specifically for entrepreneurs who are really wanting to do business differently in a way that is not exploitative, in a way that is adaptable to their life, but also like helps them to make money and set themselves up in a way that they can grow and scale over time in a way that makes sense for them and for the work that they do. Both programs are 6-month programs. So this is not, run and gun, quick fix kind of things. Like we do go deep, but we do so in a way that is focus on getting you the results that you need. Okay. So if you would like to learn more about either program, check them out. Again, I've had the links in the description below for each. Check them both out, submit an application. We will jump on a call so we can chat. You can ask me all the questions that you have and we can discuss and really make sure that whichever program that you are interested in and feel called to really do fit your needs and are going to be best for you at this time. Okay. But I would love to have you there. Both programs I've been running for several years. They are a lot of fun, even though they are snatching pearls every once in a while. But it's good. It's good. We do love it. Just finished the winter cohort, so I'm looking forward to seeing you if you are drawn to the summer cohorts. But definitely come through. Again, check out the information below. Learn more. Ask me the questions that you have, and let's get you living even a better life, because I know that you all are living your best lives, but living even better lives. Okay, so let's get into the Venus in Leo messages. So like I said, I already have the cards out, so I'm going to do messages first for our spiritual development issues that are coming up that are being addressed by spirit. And then we're going to talk about, for entrepreneurs, the issues that are coming up for you to be addressed at this time. And again, it's with the intention, with the purpose of making the most of this time within the context of those 5 areas that I addressed. Okay. So, of course, if you have any questions or need additional clarification, just put them in the comments below. Periodically, I will check in. For the most part, I'm going to be sticking here because I get distracted easily. But with that being said, let me say hi to folks in the comments. Hello, welcome. Yes, cold water. I have my water as well, too. Also have some tea. I'm almost done with some green tea. But yes, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. And yes, as you guys come in, please do say hello in the comments, introduce your energy into the space. Let us know where in the world you're joining from and what, if anything, you are sipping on or nibbling on, because we do love food over here. All right. So let me show you the initial cards first. So the thing that's being brought to our attention by spirit to be dealt with, and again, we're first talking about spiritual matters. We have the Empress. The tactics that are suggested to address the Empress is the 10 of Cups. Another way to say tactics is the action steps to take, right? The strategy guiding the actions or the tactics is the Fool. Okay, so this is informing what we do as it relates to the Empress. And the general past energy that has gotten us to this point where we are now and are needing to take action is the Knight of Cups. We are showing up as the Five of Wands. And in the environment is the Queen of Cups. Okay. Excuse me. Now, let's just talk in general about what the Empress is, because this is what's there to be focused on, what's being brought to our attention, that which needs to be addressed. Okay. So, in the context of those five things that I was talking about, first we have, um, the harvest. Now, the Empress in general is about creativity. It is a personal power card, and just as an FYI, I do have additional cards out here, so I will be pulling different things up in addition to what I've mentioned. But it's interesting that this is showing up because the what has shown up in within the past 2 weeks, maybe also the past 2 to 4 weeks, is the Emperor. So we have both the Emperor and the Empress out. The Emperor also represents power and sovereignty and all of that. The difference in the two for me is the Emperor has the that quality of providing more infrastructure, um, processes, workflows. It's more of a systemization of a creative impulse or of activity, of momentum. Whereas the Empress actually comes first because it's number three, the Emperor is four. But the Empress is just the activity, is the creativity, is the momentum. There's not necessarily on the surface, there's not necessarily a structure to it. And I say on the surface because um, there is a certain structure, but it's more in the background, right? So it's not led with, whereas with the Emperor, that energy is led with. So, given the kind of, if you will, reversal of the nature of these things, is telling me that this is already something that the Emperor is already something that we excel in, or like have knowledge in, or at least have come to a level of stability and power in, which is great. That might actually be part of the harvest. Is we have gotten to a place of some stage of stability in our life. Now, what can this look like? This can look like after a period of um, instability in our finances, we now have some consistency, whether or not it is ultimately what we want compared to the past. And in the deeper past, we do have the Five of Cups. So it tells me that there definitely was some instability. There might have been more freelance work, for instance, more gig work, changes of jobs, etc., health concerns, new family obligations that have popped up, whether that is health crises or it could have been on the positive side, new kids, um, whatever. But something where there were a lot of changes, and it has taken during this transit, at the very least, right? So from spring of 2025, but also possibly from further back in 2023, summer 2023. From that point, there could have been still some longstanding aspects of instability that have been showing up in your life. Okay, so regardless of what that is, at this point with the Emperor here in the past, like there is stability. Okay, again, whether it's what you prefer or not, comparatively, there is stability, which is great. Now you're at a place with this is coming up. It's Venus and Leo, where you're like, where spirit is saying, like, hey, the energy, the push, because this is a major arcana, is to be creating, is to be developing for momentum, is to be taking a little bit um, uh, more risks. Still within the confines of the stability that you have, but there is a lot of wiggle room. There is a lot of leeway to do so. Okay, so again, if you read my June astrology report on the blog page of my website, you know that I mentioned during this time the importance of, and I think that also was highlighting specifically with Jupiter and Leo, but it still Leo energy, right? The importance of more output, being seen more, being more active with the things that you desire, where you are trying to go, because this energy is supported. Okay, it's going to be supported for a while, but again, it's going to be hitting a fever pitch in this transit in particular. And this is even before Jupiter comes in to play. So that leads directly to the celebration is for those of you where this message is resonating, in particular about this harvest, and coming to this place of stability, it's important to celebrate the place of stability that you are at. Okay. Yes, you probably are feeling that inkling to like want more and stretch out more, and maybe judging where you are, maybe judging relationship status, maybe judging health status, maybe judging your spiritual progress and how far you think you should be, etc. It's important to celebrate how far you've come and to really acknowledge where you are compared to where you have been, because there is a significant change, especially during this particular transit, this particular the cycle of Venus going through Aries. Okay, the biggest level of stabilization has occurred specifically during this cycle. And so this is what's being brought to your attention. So your harvest has been this stability. It's important to celebrate that, to acknowledge it. Okay. And now you can also spend that time, spend this time over these next few weeks, beginning to assess, right? What has brought you the stability? Some stuff is going to be specifically things that you were doing, i.e., the stuff that is under your control, your jurisdiction. Other things are going to be that which is outside of your control, how other people have been, people in your family, relationships, how the local environment has been, how your job has been, etc. Right? It's going to be a mix. It's important to take all that into account because we don't want to think that we were in control of everything and that everything is our fault, but also we can't think that everything was because of everything good was because of us. Like it God's in there too, right? So all that's there. And this is a harbinger again of what's to come. So this preparation energy, this contemplation, listening to our heart, listening to our spirit, taking the time to meditate, even though externally there might be a lot of activity, that still small voice within, that deep sense of communion within, very much needs to be the guiding light, the guiding force consciously, because it's always there. Make no mistake. God is always there. Great Spirit is always there. But this conscious communion, this conscious relationship is very important, very key. And part of this work of what's next is this deeper contemplation of what is getting in the way. Where have I been the enemy? Where have I been the adversary? How do I really feel about this harvest? How do I really feel about this journey the last 2 years, the last 3 years, the last 5 years, right? So the Empress carries a lot. But the action here is the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is interesting because it talks about reaching the pinnacle of fulfillment. So when we get to the tens, that is the culmination of the journey from the 1 through the 10. Now, after the 10, there are the court cards. So depending on how you want to look at it, this might be as far as you can go, or within the context of the cards, this is as far as you can go playing within the parameters within the sandbox that you've been playing in. And then things start to shift once you get into the court cards. Because then you go to the page or the princess, then the knight, then the king and queen. So this is both an ending, a completion, right? As well as the harbinger of the next stage of things. I don't know if you can hear the dog out there. So I take that as this being an important message, this part. I believe I was mentioning in the last Oracle Talks where I was doing channel messages for the Arcturans, because that topic was around self-actualization. One of the signs, I don't remember who, but one of the signs got the message about it's actually relevant for many signs, but one of them got a message about the importance of focusing on, one or two things as they move forward, as opposed to the broader kind of immersion into things in order to maintain the forward momentum. So basically, like the further you go along in something, the more essentially you have to coalesce your attention, your focus, your activity in order to start being able to unlock, activate, be initiated into new realms of consciousness, new realms of energetic power, new stages of growth, of success, etc., in your personal life and in your business, depending on what the context was, but how that aspect is important. So like when you're in the beginning stages, like it's fine, you're wide-eyed and you do all the things, but within the process you do get to a point where you have to make a decision, like in school, in elementary, middle, high school, you're being exposed to all the things. But the further along you go over the years, you do start to get a sense of things that you like and that you don't like, subjects you like to study, things that you don't like to study. That, of course, is going to be influenced by your internal natural makeup, as well as the school you went to, the learning environment, the teachers, all the things play into that, right? But by the time you are at that final stage of the tail end of college or of high school, and you are choosing, you know, what's next, whether that is college, trade school, what have you, you do have to focus the energy and be like, okay, what do I want to have be the primary thing that I develop further? Doesn't mean, of course, that you can't enjoy other stuff, but something does have to start taking priority in terms of the majority of your focus, right? So this is like choosing your degree. And even when you're choosing degree in those first 2 years of school, you're still doing a lot of general studies, and it isn't until the later part of the process where the majority of your classes start getting much more specialized, and start requiring a lot more of you. And you have, now that the generals are out of the way, there's less, in general, variability that's kind of built into the system unless you put it in. But there's less variability built into the system for other things because that new level of investment of study requires so much more. Yeah. So all of that is kind of here and is showing up with this. We have all of these cups here, all lit up. You have all the preparatory work you need to do. So this is harvest, this is celebration, and this is assessment because it's a contemplation of all that has been there. And then you have these, the smaller dragon, us here at the bottom, and you have all these adult dragons at the top, different colors, and you having to decide the path that you're going to go down, right? Now, because again, time is, don't want to say it's not existing, but the past and the future essentially are the same because these can be both the teachers that brought you to this point, using the school context, rolling with that, as well as um, representations for the path that you can go down ahead. So it's both the past and the present and future here. And the strategy, of course, as I mentioned earlier, is the Fool card. And the past energy is the Knight of Cups. Now, what can be funny with this is we can have this idea that we don't know what path to go on or we're not quite sure what to do. But I would say, especially given what I was just relaying about past, present, and future are really the same, is that we do know. The path that we're on and the path that we are to be evolving into is actually clear and has been clear. Being at this stage in a process gives us the illusion that, like, oh, we have to start fresh and there's something brand new that is there. However, there is something that already is in alignment. That alignment is what set us on the journey that got us to this point anyway. And those choices at the beginning stage were conscious. And that where we are now is the embodiment of those quote unquote past goals. And so it's this Fool card is a where do we go from here? Meaning, where do we continue from here rather than where do we start over? Because this Fool energy is not a starting over energy. It's a new beginning sitting on top of a mountain of a wealth of experience and knowledge and gifts and initiations and activations and spirit family and relationships with our elevated and heavenly beneficial ancestors. Like all of that is there. This is not a starting over, it's a continuation. So, part of our strategy for what we have to do in terms of how we're going to direct all this creative energy that is popping up, that simple shift may be instead of saying, you know, um, just what new thing it's is what's the next stage of growth from what I've been doing. Even if you think you are pivoting out of something, I would even say for that, it's a branch that can be developed that will be looping back to the true underlying path. I hope that's making sense. I hope that's making sense for you. Sometimes the state of ease and flow is the most challenging state to acknowledge and accept because we, due to culture, socioeconomics, you know, national identity, etc., can have the belief that if there's not struggle associated with it, it has no value or it's not the path that we have to take. But we're talking about spiritual things, even if on the surface we are talking about relationships, money, job, business, it's all spiritual. So this is the underlying truth. There is an underlying truth. There is an underlying path. There is an underlying momentum. And you've already been on that path. You've already been doing it. And so right now, in the spirit, we have the judgment card. This is the call from spirit. This is part of the assignment. That's what's calling to you, not the whims of the ego, not the confusion of the masses and the people around you. That still small voice is what is calling and is saying, like, hey, you do actually know what's up. You know the next evolving step, but it requires this work of harvesting, celebrating, assessing what has been so that you can effectively appreciate the harbingers, the harbinger of rest, the stage of rest and restoration that is necessary to prepare you for what's next, as well as the next stage of the journey that you are already on, not beginning anew, that you're already on. So, meditation is important. Getting back to that practice if it's not already, or if you've fallen off, is going to be important. 15 minutes minimum. If you can do longer, you can do longer, but do something that you can do regularly. It is also important to write things down, to speak things out, even if you're speaking to yourselves, but it's important to do that. You can do both with your ancestors, right? Your beneficial ancestors, spend time with them regularly, at least once a week, if not more. But it's important to get back to and or double down on your spiritual practices that maintain your sanctity, that maintain your divinity, that keep the uniqueness that is you coalesced and consolidated rather than dispersed and disempowered. Because what's nice here with the environment, and I see we're also prepared to do so, because this Five of Wands is here. This imagery though is very specifically like we're working hard to put down the external and internal distractions in ways that we are um, that are keeping us from being able to focus in the way that we need to focus. Right? This is not an energy of following the crowd. It is the one of forging your own path ahead. But the environment is nice too. And in the spread, this card is actually looking towards us. Um, there's an offering, there's a receptivity to the truth of who you are, what's authentically showing up, what's evolving. There's a receptivity. The environment is responsive. Okay, it's responsive meaning like it's open to the conversation. And the more you get the noise out the way, right? And sit in a place of deep contemplation and get clarity about the call that you are answering, which is a call that's always been there. And you perceive and understand that what you're doing is just evolving the next step rather than starting over, that you can communicate clearly to this receptive environment. And if that matches up with what's being offered or how the energy is showing up here, then there's going to be some beautiful alignments that show up for you. So again, this would look like in the spiritual context, this is going to be um, initiations and activations in the spirit that occur because you're getting the distractions out of the way, whether again that's external or more often than not it's internal distractions. It's ways that you are busying yourself with things that really are not important to your soul. Like they're just truly not. They keep your mind activated, and they may have to be addressed, but the management of things doesn't necessarily mean importance or value to your soul, right? And to be clear, God nor your soul is gonna have you out here looking crazy, much less your beneficial ancestors. So the work of, choosing not to run from ourselves is one of the most important things that we can do, especially with this important time period that we're in with this transit. One thing in particular that's coming through from spirit about this is that it's this and more. Again, getting back to that, you're not starting from scratch, you are building upon what's already there. It's all of this and more. So part of these distractions or internal spiritual warfare really that's going on may be um, you needing to look at where you have been choosing not to do your work because you don't want to focus. You don't want to give something more of a priority. It's like you don't want to go past freshman and sophomore year into junior and senior year. So it is important not to get locked in to the comfortability that the stability that you have actually been experiencing relatively over, this Venus cycle since spring of 2025 might have gotten you locked into. Because again, this energy is supposed to flourish and go beyond this jumping off point. But that doesn't mean that this is destroyed. This is the foundation, this is the scaffolding. And this is where the heart of the matter here at the center is the moon card. So again, if you are struggling and there is struggle because we are showing up as the 5 of Wands, so there is struggle and this is within. The struggle is going to be on the depths, right? That scorpionic energy is going to be on the depths that are there that we have not been acknowledging or facing. We might not really be understanding or knowing or acknowledging how we really feel about certain things, how we really feel about the stability, how we really feel about these last few years or longer. This is also deeply connected to the Empress. Because again, the Empress is the formless, Emperor is form. So this isn't mind, right? The Emperor would be more mind and logic and figuring things out and the how. That part's easy. This part is not. Now, I do think one of the things that is going to be helping, because like I said before, this is a harbinger of the scorpionic Venus cycle that is coming in October. So we are starting to do a little bit of it now. But I do think one of the things that can help in particular is the fact that Jupiter is in essentially the last degree or two of Cancer. Okay, Cancer means many things, but one of the things that it refers to is our emotions. Okay, since Jupiter is at these critical degrees before it moves into Leo, is it the end of this month? Or is it the end of, I believe it's the end of this month because the nodes shift. Yeah, it's the end of this month. I was like, What's the actual date? Let me look. Oh, the 29th. Okay. So that will be happening um what about 2 weeks into the cycle? So two-thirds of the cycle, it'll be in that like critical degree phase. Um, so I think that will actually be helping to force looking at the importance of how we are processing or what really is the truth of what we feel emotionally, because mentally we may be already knowing, but we may not be emotionally honest. We may not be emotionally honest. For some stuff, we may need to like feel through the things, but I think the actual seeing and acknowledgement and honesty around this stuff, the feelings, the fears, is key for helping us being able to tap into the power of this that's available. Now, to be clear, for these spirit messages, there's no big like outward action to take. This is very much like there may be like specific things that have to be done. Um, but this isn't like a, oh, do this whole like overhaul of your life. This is a message about alignment. That's really what this is. This is a message about alignment, because the evolving path is going to be a path that requires work and effort and all the things. And you have to resolve yourself to go on that path. You have to be willing to do the junior and senior year work in order to get your degree. Knowing that even when you get your degree, the journey is not going to stop, because depending on the path that you want to go on, again, use the education as the backdrop, you might still have to do more education, or next you might go into an internship, or you might go for your first job, right? Like there will continue to be more. And each stage is going to have its requisite uh, requirements of investment of time and energy and resources. But really, this is like a, you got to get your head in the game. You can't say you want to raise your vibration and be embodying 5D consciousness or higher consciousness and still be showing up in your life and in your spiritual practices in the way that you are. You necessarily have to do the work of upgrading your energy body and investing time in meditation and learning and working with different tools. Like you're just going to have to. And the greater this the specialization, if you will, the less company you're going to have, because it's less of a group project and more of a, you need to do the work. You have to develop the discernment. You have to get stronger in your clear abilities. That's on you. That's not given. Those initiations, those activations are earned through your efforts, not performance, not the accoutrements. It's literally you, your soul. So yeah, you got to get your head in the game, and it can be done. There are no blocks versus except for that which is hiding in the depths of your own subconscious. Like that really is it. But I do think, especially with this imagery, there's a willingness to look, especially if this is being brought to your attention. But doing this work will help the alignment get easier, get better. Because if this is the energy that we're sitting in, the Five of Swords, that internal conflict that we are having with ourselves, that internal spiritual warfare that we're having with ourselves, our past soul life aspects, whatever, it could be all the things, is impacting how we see the environment around us. We are seeing that same internal warfare externally when the environment is responsive to us and the environment is deciding what it wants to connect to. And to be clear, this energy is the next evolved state. So that's what this is looking to connect with in the environment. Okay. This is not looking to connect with this. And this is what comes before you. This is what announces your energy. Does this Queen of Cups looks like it wants to be engaged with that Five of Swords? Does the Queen of Cups want to be fighting your demons? Of course not. This Queen of Cups is looking to build. This Queen of Cups is looking for quality service. This Queen of Cups is looking for quality relationship, interdependence. This Queen of Cups is looking for spiritual integrity, not a war with your demons. The Queen of Cups is looking for the chosen path that has been said yes to. The Queen of Cups is looking for internal alignment. Okay. Any questions on that, you can put in the comments. Um, Someone says looking to apply to this program. Oh, submit the application. I'll look over the application and based on what comes through there, uh, we will go from there. But yeah, apply on the link in the website below, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's now talk about, one second. Okay. Let's now talk about this message for entrepreneurs. Okay. So, okay, right off the jump, this Empress is giving me revenue. So it's the topic that Spirit is wanting to address for entrepreneurs during this transit, again, Venus and Leo, but also within this greater context of the Venus cycle is about growing the revenue. So, in case you are wondering, or if you're not clear, the customers are there with the Queen of Cups in the environment. The customers are there and they are responsive. And it's for all entrepreneurs, whether you are a service provider or you offer products or a combination of both. Okay. The customers are there. Not only just due to the figure, but also the water energy is very conducive for markets and exchange and all of that. Okay, so the customers are there and responsive, and again are looking for who to do business with. Now, whether or not that is you is to be seen, but the job is to um, definitely not show up like this, not like the Five of Wands. So in this context for entrepreneurs, this is very much about when someone is trying to be everything to everyone, um, when their energy also seems really uh, focused on competitors rather than themselves. Right. So if your marketing is always about downplaying what other people are doing, or if what you are offering in products and services is very close or really similar or just downright copying what other people are doing, that also is a hyper focus on others, right? Like it's that which makes you unique needs to be front and center. The action to take, though, for entrepreneurs is this 10 of cups. Oh, actually, before I get too deep into this, we need to go through the 5 areas. So again, harvest um, first. So the relative stabilization of the revenue for your business has definitely been solid there and been in play for a little while with the emperor. Again, after a period of instability and turmoil. And that could be a range of things with this 5 of cups, because this can very much talk about shipping issues, production issues, um, issues within the company itself, maybe with employees, maybe with contractors. There's so many things that can pop up because of that 5 of cups. But you still made it work. You're still here. Um, have made the hard decisions that you've had to make, have stayed the course, what have you, and you are here. There's a level of stability, but there is now time to take a bit more risk. Now, this risk can be many things. This is just what feels like a risk for you because you're running things. So this could be a shift in your marketing tactics. This could be a risk of quote unquote niching down more. This could be a risk of removing certain products and services that are really not providing much revenue to the business, so that the options are fewer on the side of the consumer, so that they can be focused more so on the things that really are your star products, your star services, so that they get the best experience, or what have you, right? So the risks are going to be specific to your particular context, but that aspect is definitely important. But I would say with this, whatever risks you do contemplate taking with this energy, they definitely have to be calculated, which is why that assessment piece is important. Yes, you're in a place of stability. Yes, you've come far. You survived the tumultuous last couple of years. But moving forward, what do you want to do? And again, this doesn't have to be this big overhaul because the tactic is still this full card. All right. So it's an evolution for whatever the next step is. So this can really just be focused on the next 6 months so that you end the year strong. This might be beginning to focus on what things need to look like next year or the next 2 to 3 years. I'm not feeling from spirit that now is the time to be doing like really long term planning beyond 2 to 3 years, just because of how things are very much in flux globally as well as astrologically and in many nations. So 2 to 3 years is essentially the max right now. But for many of you, it really just may be these next 6 months, possibly the next year, where you need to more so be focused on calculated risks to take or like different tactics. Speaking of tactics specifically, it is the Ten of Cups. Okay. Now, 1 second. Interesting. Okay, so this is giving me um the message of seeing where all the things you have in place that you have gained through the wisdom either of experience or with others, to build up the various aspects of the infrastructure of your business, the operations themselves, marketing tactics themselves, the products, the connections that you have with shipping and delivery and all the things, um, how you deliver your service, your approach to the service with your customers, how you handle customer service, like just all those kinds of things. This is very much a looking at and a contemplation of the things that you have in place that have gotten you here and considering which of those areas in particular, especially in the more near future. Well, no, it's actually beyond because I'm being told about the Venus and Scorpio cycle. So this is really about the next 2 to 3 years. What area within the business would benefit the most from having more of your undivided attention for an upgrade, for an evolution, for a catalyst for growth? Like what area is actually going to give you the biggest change that you would be focused on? But the biggest change, the biggest return on investment over the next 2 to 3 years. So this is a deep contemplation or assessment time of really looking at, again, for all the things you have in place, for all the areas of your business, what are those things, if evolved, if upgraded, would give you the greatest return on investment, would have the greatest impact on growing your revenue? Now, from my perspective, the growing of the revenue is also something that needs to be sustainable, that also needs to be profitable, but also needs to not be exploitative. So all of those conditions would go into, this contemplation for me and how I would coach my clients. Um, but yeah, like what the focus actually needs to be. Because whatever it is something that would be able to have repeatable, because this is a perpetual motion energy, the Empress. Um, it would have a yeah, perpetual motion is actually better than repeatable because repeatable is more so the Emperor. Um, and this is more of a framework that has the ability to grow and adapt, but that continues to build momentum upon itself. So yeah, what in that would have to shift to get you your results? And that is going to be determined again by this assessment process, by you actually looking at all the various areas of your business. The heart of the matter here is interesting because all of this, for me, with all the water energy, this has to do with the leaders themselves, as well as those that you um, receive support from, whether it's professional services or coaches, consultants, etc. Um, that's where most of this energy is actually sitting. So yeah, similar to that education example I was giving earlier when it was just the spirit messages, this is actually kind of coming through for you entrepreneurs, that the ways that you are needing to tweak um, is definitely going to require insight and expertise from those who um, can help you do the thing because they have a little bit more experience, obviously. But again, it's not necessarily something that is brand new. Like high key, you probably have already been working on it. It's been something that's come up repeatedly. It probably has been something that has maybe given you success in the past, but maybe something in relation to how you've approached it or your ability to maintain it hasn't been working. And so there has to be a different way to approach it coming through. Another thing that's coming through very clearly through here is while this last cycle has maybe been more so about you getting yourself you and your business being more stable and more like together and focused, this next stage, this harbinger for what's next, is still very much about growing revenue. And again, the environment is there to provide you with that revenue. I'm hearing the question, are you prepared to evolve? Are you prepared to evolve? Are you prepared to do things differently? Because doing things differently doesn't mean that you are abandoning your vision and the mission for the business. Doesn't mean you're abandoning the clients that you serve and the impact that you're trying to have. All this message is really talking about is addressing areas that need to change in the mechanics of how things are being done or what's being offered or the ways it's being offered to allow for an increase in revenue. To say it another way, mm, what's in place now in terms of how you're doing things, what's being offered, how things are being offered, etc., does not actually have the adaptability and capacity, because those are one and the same, because you have to be able to grow and adapt, right? But the adaptability and the capacity is not there for the revenue that would be coming. So, um, if you are relatively newer to business, or even if you've been in business for a little while, this could be asking yourself, okay, if my business tripled or quadrupled, would I be able to handle it? And if not, why not? Where would the breakdown happen within the business, within how things are set up? Because sometimes one of the things that can happen is we can get so hyper focused on little things that aren't working for where we are, that we are not using really that creative energy as the leaders, as the founders and CEOs of our businesses, to focus on what could be and set ourselves up for success in that area. So yeah, if you got more business, would your business infrastructure, would your products, would your services, how they're set up, how they're being offered, etc., would they actually be able to handle it? Energetically, would you be able to handle it? Um, would you be able to handle a six-figure revenue year if you're not making six figures with the way your business is currently set up and operating, the way you're doing things? Would you actually be able to handle it? Are you ready to do what's needed to generate six figures or more in terms of the marketing? Which really just means, like, how much and how often you are showing up, not even just aesthetics, but like the output of the business being seen often enough and wide enough and consistently enough to even generate that level, or be connected enough, because there's so many different types of businesses and different ways that you create avenues for new clients. So it's not a one size fits all. You know, could you handle seven figures with the way your business is now? Would you know how to, in general, how to set things up to even maintain what you would need to maintain to not only attract that in, but maintain that infrastructure? to deliver those products, to deliver those services, is that there or not? So that is this part of the harbinger of what's to come. The the thing about this deeper scorpionic work, which is going to be popping up for everyone when that Venus cycle begins, but again, we're kind of getting the a harbinger of it now, is unless the deeper subconscious stuff that we have not been acknowledging, that we don't want to face, etc., is not being triggered. Those little fear moments are not popping up within us. That means that the vision, the goal, the evolution for what's next is not actually big enough. Because if this energy that we're sitting in is more of a fighting with ourselves um, over the basics of discipline, over things that we know, like we need to do, we have to do, that we just like don't do it or choose not to do it, right? Like that's not what this conversation is about. This revenue increase isn't about making a little bit more. This revenue increase is about economic sovereignty and actually setting you up for catalytic growth. Could your business replace your job? Not that you have to leave your job. I don't suggest it, but could it? It could. Are you willing to do the work to do it, though? So that's what's to be faced. The dreams aren't big enough because there are some things within, in terms of our subconscious, that are really at play, that are really running things, rather than this devoted, Semitic, committed person um, to the call on their life. Because it's not just about the money. The money is just a surface thing. This is deeper stuff. Because again, scorpionic themes is that additional piece here. There's more. The more could be wanting to be an employer for others. The more it could be wanting to have more influence in politics. The more it could be name the things that's important to you as it relates to creating cultural change. There's more here. This is a means to an end. But if you, as the leader, founder, CEO, are not spending that time to really look at all that you have built, all that you have invested, all that you have learned, to then think about and assess the next evolving stage that is adaptable and has capacity for more revenue, then you're missing the gift of this transit. And please understand my role. Yes, I'm an oracle, but very specifically, I'm a way shower. So when I'm bringing folks messages, when I'm talking about things, whether in oracle talks or writing things in the newsletter or what have you, I'm giving you a heads up of what's to come to give you a head start so that you have an advantage so that you have an easier time with the experience. Because when spirit is speaking to me, it's like this is what's coming down the line. So it's not just the like, being in just a momentary high or whatever. It's like, no, these are bigger structural things because my work, my intention is culture change through consciousness change. So I am speaking about the call. I am speaking about assignments. I am speaking about soul ascension work because all of that matters. All that helps to make a better world. There is no separation. So if part of that is daunting to you, that means that's the path, right? Because it's bigger than you. That's how you know you're on the right path. So, entrepreneurs, it's bigger than you. You're not the only one with the call. You're not the only one with the vision and the mission. You're just showing up in your unique ways to provide that product or service and provide that impact in the other ways that you were asked to show up, right? But that's the thing. It's the your orientation to the privilege of being a business owner, regardless of how much money your business brings in is irrelevant, right? The fact that you have the privilege of being a business owner speaks to this deeper call. And it's important for you to approach this with the same level of sanctity that you would approach your spiritual development. So your contemplation and meditation and time with spirit needs to be looking at in what ways am I getting in the way? Not that, you're bad or whatever, but it's like I understand that what has brought me to this point, how I've navigated and stewarded the business up to this point has helped to bring stability, great, or what have you. But this is not this energy. So, what would you have me do, Spirit? In what ways am I getting in the way that I am not aware of with this moon card? In what ways do I have certain ways of doing things, processes, operations, etc., in place that are hindering the kind of revenue growth that is available and on hand? In what ways am I thinking and believing and behaving that reinforces the idea of a quick fix when it comes to my business, rather than truly establishing new standards for how to do business differently, which are not rooted in capitalism and exploitation, that understand that there's time periods of growth and time periods of retraction, that acknowledge that you, God, Spirit, Creator, and the environment give me information about which stage is available to me at different times. And in general, the time that has been transition, change, retraction. And as Oracle, I'm giving you the heads up. The shift now is to a period of growth. Again, not quick fix. Like over these next few years, it is there, right? So, given the abundance that is at hand, because past, present, and future are here and now, what growth-oriented ways do I need to show up? How does the business need to be adjusted to have the adaptability and the capacity for that? Because the tactics and the strategies for maintaining solvency and getting to a place of stability during the period of retraction necessarily is not the same. Death strategies are not life strategies. Both are necessary because they're both part of the cycle. The retraction cycle is necessary. You've learned a lot. Put that put that in the toolbox because you will need it again. Perpetual growth is cancerous. It's not healthy. So we should not expect and we should not run our business expecting perpetual growth. So regardless of how rough the past Five of Cups experience has been in the business, you have new tools in the toolbox. But we need to look at the tools of growth because we do already have some of those. However, some of those need to be evolved for the next stage of revenue growth because this revenue growth that I'm speaking of again is bigger. So this means that whatever your highest revenue experience has been in your business, regardless of the type of business that you've had, this is saying there is the potential, depending on how you show up and align with this responsive environment, there is the potential to go past what you previously achieved. This isn't about recovery for what was lost. This is growing beyond. Because the recovery is the emperor. You might not want to see it that way, but the stability that you have is actually the emperor. This is the recovery. And this is saying there's more, but there's actually more than what you've had. So dream bigger, but not just dream bigger, strategize better for that next stage. And that strategy does need to be informed by paths and expertise that can help you get there. And the clarity for what path or expertise to go to is going to come from you assessing what got you to achieve whatever levels of success that you did achieve before the retraction phase. Okay, so it's not necessarily going to be an area that's brand new, right? It's going to be an area within the business that you're kind of already familiar with, but it's going to require a different approach. It's going to require an evolved approach of something that you're already familiar with. Okay. All righty. Any questions? I think we're good though. I think we are good. See if there's anything else for the entrepreneurs. No, I think that's it. Okay. All right. So let me check to make sure there's no questions in the comments. There are not. So, all right. So those are the messages for Venus and Leo. Again, this transit is from June 13th through July 8th. So this focus is the focus for you entrepreneurs, but also for everybody who is on the spiritual path, excuse me, and looking to accelerate their evolve their vibrational frequency and accelerate their soul ascension process. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Please do share this, rewatch it, come back and visit it, really sit with it. Um, there are some big astrological shifts and changes coming up over these next few months, in addition to the energetic dispensations. As I've mentioned, the first one for the energetic dispensation is happening June 15th through the 17th. So during those days, at the very least, please do meditate. Please do work with your energy body with whatever practices that you have, but really do work with, again, the aura field, the energy meridians, like actually work with your soul. That is your soul. Your body is the physical temple of that. So work with all of that. Spend time in meditation. Really consciously engage with and receive the support from the higher dimensions, from the higher realms that are here and available. Okay. But as I did mention, we do have Jupiter is going to be shifting into Leo at the end of the month. The nodes are going to be changing from Pisces into Aquarius at the end of July. Then we have Lionsgate. We're going to have more energetic dispensations and kite activations popping up. And then we're going to have the eclipses. So these next 90 days, y'all, yeah, is going to be a lot of beautiful energy. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Please don't be overwhelmed. It's a lot of the same kind of themes, but I am going to be speaking specifically in ways that certain things are coming up so that, again, you can get the most out of them. And please don't understand, this is not a one and done thing. These are impactful energies that are actually going to be playing out and showing up in your life for many months throughout the rest of this year, as well as through much of next year. Okay, so this is why I'm going to be talking about this a lot more so than probably most of what you're going to come across just in general, because of the importance of what is going on. As I have mentioned previously, and as you all know, we do have these new larger outer planet cycles that have begun. So there is a lot of foundation building, scaffolding building, clarifying the vision, clarifying what is next for your next stage of activation, initiation, as well as service. So this is not, again, one and done work. This is not a weekend workshop kind of thing. This is work that has to be actively, proactively, intentionally, and purposefully done over weeks, over months, and over several years, because we're talking about generational shifts and changes for these next 20 to 30 years. Okay, so that's why. So a lot of big, kind of concepts and considerations, but the groundedness is on soul and spirit and the truth that is there, because this isn't, again, we're not starting from scratch. It's a building upon work that has already been done. But this really potent and important scorpionic work is going to be key. So I'm very grateful, actually, that we're going to be coming up into the Venus and Scorpio cycle next, because I think it's going to be very grounding and supportive over these next few years in particular, as a really nice undercurrent for this work. So again, don't be scared of it. We love it. And yeah, something better is promised because we're choosing it. All right. Once again, if you are interested in working with me much more deeply, and are interested in reclaiming more of your soul sovereignty or economic sovereignty, please do look into my summer group programs, the Lightworker Incubator and Sovereign. You can check out the links below for access to that on the website. They're both 6-month programs. We will be starting in July, so enrollment will stay open through July 2nd, I believe. So take a look at the program, see where you are being called, and submit your application. We'll jump on a call and chat and see if it's going to be the best fit for you at this time. It would be an honor and a pleasure to have you there. So please do come through if you get that inkling. And yeah, enjoy this time. Please do share this video. Like I said, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And God willing, I will see you next time. I may be jumping on Oracle Talks a little bit earlier in the week. I have to see how my schedule is going to play out. So it might not be actually that long to my next Oracle Talks. But we will see, because I know we have the summer solstice, and I think I want to do a message on that. But I have to see what else is coming up, because this energetic dispensation is also very much at play. So there may be other messages that need to come through. So as always, I will be obedient to what's most important and how Spirit is directing me. But I will see y'all again, God willing, in the next couple days. But yeah, love you all. Have a great rest of your weekend, and see you next time. Bye.